Jeff Coetzee, South African tennis star, ranked 12 in the world, ATP Tour Coach of the Year, also coaching the #1 doubles team in the world, Robert Farah and Juan Sebastian Cabal. One heck of a year. So many great things has happened to you. Let me ask you a question. When you got the award or the call, you're the ATP Tour Coach of the Year. How did that happen? And how did you feel at that moment?
I think it's one of those things where one just kind of goes at it and you just do your job. I feel like, and my job, I feel it's not a job per se. It's a passion that I like. I like what I'm doing, and some people say it's you're very lucky, but I just say I grew up with this wonderful game. And so I don't it was something you're like, okay, wow, unbelievable, you get recognition for something you do. But for me, at the end of the day, I just felt like I was just going on about trying to do the best job possible, if you want to call it a job.
So Jeff, I appreciate that, but really that is one of the hardest awards to get in behalf of Sports Ed TV and our team. I mean, I want to congratulate you properly and give yourself some more credit than you're giving yourself, because that's one. There's only one guy picked every year. There's a lot of competition on the ATP Tour, So you guys won the US Open, you won Wimbledon, and so you're coaching them on one team in the world. But let me take it a step back a little bit. So you also played Davis Cup for South Africa. I believe you have a 13-5 record, which is really pretty unbelievable. Tell me maybe your favorite moment in playing Davis Cup. What was your favorite moment in Davis Cup?
For me, it's again, it's something that you always dream about. You want to represent your country, you want to put the green and gold on. And I always try to give my best when I represent my country. I remember, I think it was 99 or 2000, something like that, maybe, when I represented my country first, or got the call from Craig Tiley. He was our captain back then. And it was just such an honor to be able to represent, although the first tie didn't go as well. I played singles. I remember playing Max Mirny in Belarus. But it was a great sort of a way for me to understand. I was probably the youngest there, but I really enjoyed it. I that experience, and I think in the future it helped me.
So that experience, Max Mirny in Belarus is not what we would call as a junior. That's a bad draw. That's not an easy place to play, because not a lot of love from the locals there. But so, which Davis Cup match would you say was the one that you won, was the most fun one you had? 1 second,
You lose John. I think his phone may have died.
Maybe just pause the recording. You can just press pause.
Okay. All right, guys, we're back on and recording.
Are you there? Jeff,
yes.
There?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Jeff. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, John.
Okay, I see you. Let me see what's going on here. I should have sound, right?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear everybody.
Can you hear me now? Okay, I just pushed that sound button at the top there, So that's good. Sorry about that, Jeff. I was asking you, I'm going to re-ask the question. So, Jeff, what was your famous or favorite match that you played in Davis Cup where you guys won? What was that experience like, and who was it against,
Where I won or the team won?
Well, one maybe the team, and also would be great to know one where you become the star. Either one is good.
I think the one that I liked the most. We unfortunately lost the tie, but we were 1-1. We played Israel, and it was just one of those things. Neville just won his first tour event, came back, won. Harold Levy was top 30 at the time, I think, top 40. He beat Marcus Andruska, and the whole week I practiced on the due side with Miles Wakefield. We brought him in. Some of the guys that was higher ranked couldn't make it, and then I was brought in from team tennis. And then suddenly Saturday morning, Craig said, "Look, I'm going to switch it around. Jeff, you're playing with Neville," because I've played with Neville before, but I've also played with Miles before.
You're talking about Neville, right? That's another.
Yes,
last year.
Exactly. Yeah, Neville Godwin. So I was like, okay, I'm fine. Whatever. If everybody's happy with it, I'm okay to go back to my normal side. It doesn't matter. And to make it the long story short, the match was actually a doubles match, 4 hours, 56 minutes. Basically, why I enjoyed it was I was down match points at 6-5-4, 15-40 second serve. And I went back to, after I missed the first serve, and the guy said, "Come on, could see serve a double fault, serve a double fault." So now it's stuck in your head. So I'm like, I was so tight, but I said, "There's no chance I'm serving a double fault." And the guy missed the return. I'm like, wow. And then I actually served a good serve at 30-40, but they called it out. And I said, "Neville, just leave it. That's okay." So I give it another second serve. I think I made the volley, and the guy missed the second shot. I'm like, okay, that's it. This is done. I said to Neville, "I don't know about you, there is no ways I'm losing this match." And we ended up breaking. I think they held, and we broke at 6-6. I remember one of my favorite shots, which is the lob at 30-40. I had a great return, sort of a second serve, just like a dip return. And what I used to do is I would hit a soft return. The guy would half volley to come in, and then I would lure him in, and then I would hit the lob. So that was my play. And when I won that point, I was like so chuffed. And then I served for it, and same thing. The same guy told me, "Okay, now." I'm like, I kind of looked back at him, and I just smiled. And it's like, there's no chance. I'm not going to lose this match by just having match points down and you asking me to serve a double fault again. So yeah, that kind of stood out for me. And I think one of the matches we actually won the tie was again, it was I think it was just maybe it was one of those cases. It wasn't a big tie, but we were sort of bottom of the group, and we worked our way up. John Luffney was the Jager South African. He was our captain, and we just qualified to go back sort of into the main group, not the world group, but to group 1, but where we came from, group 3, and we won 11 matches in a row. So that's probably one of that one first when we got to when we played in Africa. That was probably one that stood out for me, just because where we were, suddenly we had to work our way up.
There's nothing like winning and moving forward. You know, Jan Luffney Jager just put on a great event in South Africa, drew the most people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
So you're playing with some good people, and then probably the other amazing thing. So you're playing in the Olympics. I mean, you know, for a tennis player, what was the greatest feeling besides being picked for the team? Obviously, that's got to be unbelievable to think I'm going to the Olympics. But what was your greatest moment at the Olympics?
I mean, for me, to be honest, John, it's just absolutely as you wait, and your excitement comes. You know the stadium is packed. It's over 80,000 people, 100,000 people in Beijing. So then they call each country, and obviously with South Africa, they go alphabetically. So your anticipation, you wait. But that moment when you walk in and they call South Africa, and we all, you know, wave and shout to the crowd, and you see, I mean, it was just absolutely fantastic. For me to walk in there, I just got goosebumps. It was just so nice just to walk out there representing your country. It was probably with the Davis Cup, it was probably the one of my best moments that I could ever have.
You know, we always dream to be a football player where they go out with 80,000 people, but that's even bigger and greater feeling than that. So let's take it now a step further back. Obviously, you were a great player. You were ranked as high as 12 in doubles, 70s of the Australian Open. You had a really good, solid singles ranking. But it all starts, for you in O'Kip. O'Kip is a place in, Northwest Cape, middle of nowhere. I'm sure there's very few people that live in their town, and you don't have a regular tennis court there. You're probably playing on a sand court. So how did you get into tennis to have this amazing career?
Yeah, but you just mentioned it, a sand court. It was basically what it was, a gravel. Our backyard was gravel, and that's how I started. I made the racket out of wood, and then we had 2 poles, and we used orange bags as nets, and that's basically how we started. And I would play against my brothers. I would always lose, and I would really get upset, and I would sort of hide in the cupboard, and that was just me. I was very. I didn't realize I was so competitive, but as I lost more and more, I'm like, I think probably those are the early years. I think that's where always people ask me, where did I get it from? I think it was from losing to my brothers all the time. And eventually I was like, okay, I need to practice. I need to practice. I need to get better. And that's what I did. I mean, my poor mom couldn't sleep on a Sunday afternoon because I would just hit against the wall over and over and over again. And then that's how I started. Eventually I got to the tennis courts and did the same thing against the wall before I moved to playing in Cape Town. In the beginning, obviously, I wasn't allowed because of the apartheid era. Couldn't understand it. But anyway, once I finally got to be able to play, I lost and came back. And because I wasn't practicing that much. And then I said to my brother, I don't like that feeling. He said, well, twice a week you practice and you think you're just going to win. This is not O'Kip. This is now the best in Western Cape. And the guy is actually #1 in South Africa. So I went back and practiced every day for the next couple of months. And I ended up winning the tournament. And yeah, that's how I basically started, moved to Joburg.
From to the sand court. Now you're touring in South Africa, and the association probably at that point picked you up. I know you became the #1 junior in South Africa, so that changes everything, right?
Yeah.
And
I had, basically what they called back then was a Sugar circuit. It started in Durban or whatever. It was like 5 tournaments. I won all that 5 tournaments in a row, singles and doubles. And then they just said, look, you need to go to Johannesburg where the federation is based because you can't be in O'Kip. You're not going to get much. And I was a kid. I didn't know anything. My mom just said, I think you're moving to Joburg. I'm like, okay, but I'm sure you're coming with. And it's like, no, your brother will take you there. And I'm like, and they just basically dropped me off, and then they came back, and that's when reality kind of.
You got dropped off Ellis Park back then, probably where you were training, right? Ellis
yes.
Park.
So yeah, I was dropped off, and then I got taken to the family where I was living. But it was a tough situation. You're 12 years old. You come from a town of 5,000 people. And then you basically just now have to grow up. And that's what I did. Joburg really made me grow up very, very quickly.
Ellis Park back then was really like, almost like the Miami Open was the 5th biggest tournament. Everybody played there. I ball boyed there for Leyva, Rosewell, Gonzalez. We all learned a lot there. But yeah, so that's an amazing pathway, if we do it in reverse from O'Kip, #1 in the country, 12 in the world, Davis Cup, Olympics, good Davis Cup record, now coaching #1 team in the world. But so let's get current, and this is where I'm going to have Satie take over. So now you're coaching the #1 team in the world, and Satie, you run with it,
All right, thank you, Jean. Jeff, so I know you've worked with Robert Farah and Juan Sebastian Cabal for 5 years now, and it was a process. I think you guys started off when the team was ranked, I believe, 60, and you guys made it to 1, and you guys are absolutely killing it now. So tell us a little bit about the journey.
That's exactly what it is. It is a journey. it's a whole process, and that's where it started when I first met them. I mean, I saw them on the ranking and heard about them, never really knew about them. And then Rob Farah, that's how we basically got introduced. He sent me a message and said, hey, we're looking for a coach. Would you be interested? So yeah, I had a little chat to my wife about it and said, look, obviously it's something I want to do, because previously I got some offers from guys that's in the top 10, top 20, but I didn't want to do that. And the main reason is I'm a person that likes challenges. I'm like, I've played against these guys. They're already sort of up there. You know, yes, the only next phase, one team has won a Grand Slam, the other one hasn't won. That would probably be the team I could go for. But when this offer came, I said, no, guys, I'm okay. Look, my daughter was just born. I don't want to travel that much. I want to wait till she's like 2 years old. And maybe it was one of those things you think to yourself, geez, like this golden opportunity, and I just kind of gave it away. But, you know, I went back and I said to my wife, you know, if it is what it is, if I don't get anything, no problem. I'm okay. I'm happy with you guys. But one day I know I'll get something. I'll wait for the right time. And I think was probably meant to be. Because when I started with them, I said, okay, cool. You know, where can I take these guys? How can I, when I met them, I could see they just finished playing singles, concentrating doubles, but didn't know what to do really. They were two singles guys playing on a doubles court, and so many gaps when I played against them, threes, when I played with somebody else. And I'm like, but why can I do that? Why not cover that? So we went through a whole thing, and it was basically just a trial basis. I said to them, look, this is what I see where you guys should do, whether you decide to go with me or a different coach, but this is what I feel like you guys need to do. And I think there's definitely potential. I can see it. You guys are like very raw at the moment, like you would say rough as a diamond. If you need some polishing, you guys could be really good. I honestly believe that. And then after the 3 weeks, basically, they said, Jeff, look, we're going to go to Australia, but we thought about it. We want you to be our coach. I'm like, okay. So I said, all right, let's go for it. Let's see. Why don't we give it 1 year? We give it for 1 year, and then we see where we are. So yeah, the first year was a bit tough because Rob was injured, I think, with his back or something. And the first 3 years, for that matter, because he was first the back, the neck, and then the wrist. So it was really tough, but yet they ended up being 12 as a team. And I said to Rob, you know what, just do me one favor, not a favor, but you got to start taking care of your body. I think you need to see, I'm not the specialist. That's not my expertise, but you need to find somebody, because you cannot have such a great body where you're so strong and you have these common injuries. So we did a lot of tests and stuff. And I just felt like it was more, we got better and better, and they started believing more, because it was me basically that believed in them, but they never really believed in themselves as to like, okay, they can do it. I was always the one that says, hey, I can only do so much. Hey, I can take you to the water, but I cannot make you drink. So, I mean, long story short, we changed a lot of things, and I basically had to step in and say, look, guys, that's it. You need to change. Otherwise, this is not going anywhere, because we're all wasting each other's times. But if you change this and you can become fitter, better looking after your bodies in terms of get a nutritionist in, then I can really, really push you to the limit where I want to. And yeah, we did that a few years ago, and the results speak for itself. You know, they should have won a Grand Slam, in my opinion, in 2018 already, but I think it was more 2017 where Rob felt like, you know what, in the semifinals of the French Open, this was actually our match. We had it against Harrison and Venus, and they lost it. And that's when they realized, wow, we could actually start, you know, winning slams. And then, yeah, I mean, obviously it didn't work out that way until last year.
Got it. So what aspects of each of their games do you think they improved on the most in this journey?
I think it's a bit of both. I think Cabal is definitely the one that's more calmer. If I have to look back, I mean, their volley certainly has improved a lot. They've always been sort of singles guys growing up on clay. So the ground strokes, I didn't do much on it, because I mean, the ground strokes in terms of shortening maybe the swing, especially Cabal on his forehand, because I said to you, if you're going to win on all four surfaces, this is where I think you guys probably could do that, because I feel like doubles is missing right now. Besides the Bryan brothers that has done so well, and there's a gap now for a team to do really, really well, and not just on one slam, but in the four slams. So how do we change that? How do we manage that? By adapting and sort of taping down on certain things when it comes to grass or this, and just be tactically and aware of certain things we need to do. So I took basically Cabal and say, this is your type of game style, Rob, this is your cup, and this is what we're going to work on. I feel like this is the way forward, but it's going to take time. And you guys need to be able to do that more in matches. So we started a lot of it, and a lot of the practice sets were like, okay, I want you to only do this in practice. And the guys were like, what are you guys doing? I said, I just want you to start lobbing every first serve. I'll lob for the first 3 games or 4 games. Just work on those things. You focus on your serve. That's the main priority. And then you work on that. Next practice would come in. I said, okay, now you have to, every second serve, you have to chip and charge or something. We've worked on various situations. I said, until you guys feel comfortable, and stop worrying if you lose practice sets, but we start working on things to improve for the future. And I think it just sort of all gelled together. You know, I felt like, again, French Open should have been the one. They should have won first, but I think maybe they've put too much pressure on themselves, and they ended up winning Wimbledon, where they've never gone past the 3rd round of any grass court tournament. So we changed a lot of things in terms of bringing in the chip lob and the chip and charge, or just chip it. So you in play. That's what we really did. And with Rob, the main thing was the mental side. That's we changed. We got him to get a psychologist, sports psychologist, just to work on certain things, just to be a little bit more calmer, because I mean, he's an absolutely beast. He works really, really hard, and Cabal works hard, but it comes a little bit more naturally for him.
Gotcha. I was actually just going to ask you, how is it different coaching the two? You know, there's plenty of great coaches out there that really can't coach anyone and everyone just because of personalities. So I just wanted you to tell us a little bit about that.
I think in terms of Cabal, he reminds me a lot like myself. So that was easy for me. The first couple of days, I could already see with Cabal the difference. Rob already, on the other hand, I could see the hard worker, and when I started playing practice sets with them, I could already see the difference. So I summed it up. As I said, okay, let me see when they play matches. So that's how I basically took notes of myself to say, okay, Cabal, I work this. And then obviously it's to understand the culture first. So that takes a time to understand the culture. Where do you push them? Where do you see them, how they relax there? Because in certain aspects, it's great to be relaxed how they are in the culture. It helps them certain things, but other things maybe not. So in terms of Cabal, yes, I took him and said, okay, Cabal, this is how you play. This is what we're going to do. And Rob, this is how you're going to do. And I feel like these are the areas we need to focus on a lot. And that's what we did. And the thing is with Rob, once he knows exactly what he needs to do, I said, Rob, every single day, not once a week, every day, 5 minutes. That's all I want from you. If you feel like the forehand return we need to work on, let's spend 10 minutes on it every day, or 5 minutes. We'd say, I mean, in 5 minutes, nonstop, I can serve at least 40 balls to you. And you just make it and you decide. And then somehow we started toning it down. Instead of serving that much, let's see how many you make in this particular area. But if you do make less than 10 second serves in that area, you do something for me. If you make it, I do something for you. So I added games into our sessions, like various games, because they like to play games. Like, okay, I do sprints, or I'll buy you dessert, I'll buy you dinner, I'll buy you that. So obviously, as the coach, I now had to find ways to get them a little bit motivated, because if you know them, when we play 10-point breakers towards the end of the practice, they'll always say, okay, let's play a breaker for 10 push-ups. There's always going to be something for them. So that's how they are, you know. So I constantly brought in various types of games into every practice sessions, even if I go in myself with them, or if I'm even one-on-one. I said, okay, if you do that, you beat me 100%. But if you do reflexes, I guarantee you're not going to be able to hit me. If you do, I'll put it on the line, I'll give you something. So it gets all excited. So it's always practicing with pressure, practicing, but having fun though with it. The main thing is we had fun when we do these things.
Right. No, I understand. That sounds great. And I wanted to ask you, what is the difference in the level of doubles today? Let's say on the Futures Tour, the Challengers, top 100, top 50, and then obviously on the very top. What's different?
I think the mentality, because if you take a guy that's future, the guy's 6 foot something, he serves really big. I mean, especially with the doubles game, besides the Grand Slams and the Davis Cup, you basically play no ad and you play a 10-point breaker. So whether you play at the future or you play for 1,000 event or ATP at the end of the year, you're playing there's a lot more at stake. So the pressure is a lot more. So basically it becomes the mental side of things. Can you now produce it? Can you change from that guy that's so relaxed, he's got nothing to lose? Suddenly it's a different story when you start having something to lose, but you can still produce it. So definitely the mental, and I could tell from my guys how they were the ones, no problem. They felt relaxed when they played the top guys. And it's like I said, well, you know that one day when we get up there, you need to change that mentality. Take note how you guys are. So every time you play them, when you are on top of the world, this is going to be you in reverse. So just remember that this is a journey we're doing. So in future, you got to remember that every single time you play somebody, whether it's a 250 or 500, first round, they're going to come after you. So now you become the hunted. So you got to be ready all the time from the word go, and you need to show it with your attitude in terms of from the first point. You got to give them a fist pump. You got to do something, show emotions that you want it, not like, yeah, I'm number one or I'm like this person. I said, no, you got to bring out your attitude, but in a nice way.
Got it. That's great advice. And Jeff, let me ask you now, out of all the doubles players out there, and not including the ones that you have coached, who would you say is your favorite?
My favorite doubles team?
Yeah, sure.
I think, for me, I always enjoyed the Bryans. I played against them. I've coached against them, practiced against them. Off court, great guys. On court, competitiveness, fun, what they represent for the doubles game. I just think they're unbelievable. Their dad is great. It's just awesome. I've had a lot of clinics with him where he runs tournaments, where he does clinics. I just think it's an absolutely a team that, I've played against the Woodies as well, unbelievable team, same. But for me, if I have to pick one, it's probably the Bryan brothers. I have so much respect for them and what they've achieved. And even to this day, 41 and still be able to play at this level, it's very remarkable.
Absolutely. And what about from the players that you've coached? Who do you think was the easiest to coach, and who do you think was the hardest to coach?
My guys have, in the beginning, the journey was tough and stuff, but in terms of, if you say easy, it's tough to say one. I would say two, one boy, one girl. One from South Africa, Raven Klaasen, again, reminds me of myself. Easy to work with. I don't have to ask anything extra. I had to sometimes tell him to stop. And obviously I'm passionate about South Africa. It was just so much easier to work with him. But what an unbelievable athlete, so professional, great hard worker. And then same with Cara Black. Again, I don't have to do anything. It was such a pleasure because Cara would ask me, Jeffy, what will we do now? What do we do now? Can I do this? How can I improve with this? And this is somebody that's won a lot more Grand Slams as well. In terms of difficult, difficult, I would say the word is challenging with Sanya. Yeah, Sanya challenged me, which I like. But also, I also let her know that, look, this is what you need to do. You don't think you need to do that and this, and now you think that's it for the day. I said, if you want to be the best, you need to be able to do this. So yeah, she challenged me. So, but I actually enjoyed that.
Nice. You mentioned Cara Black, and I think most of us have seen the video of her volleying against the wall at remarkable speeds, and I think she was doing 100 reps. Is that video real? Have you seen her do that?
I actually was 16, 17. I was in Ghana, and I've heard about Cara Black, and I thought I was early in the morning going out to practice with my coach, and there I see a girl against the wall, a dad standing behind her. And that's where I didn't even see the video on YouTube. I saw it firsthand, and I realized how good, and I'm like, wow, this girl will be good one day. I mean, I saw her, she actually won the championships that week at the age of, I think she was 13 or something, and beating all these 18-year-olds and stuff. So then I realized how good she was. And then one day when I got to coach her, I actually played with her. I played with her brothers. It was such an honor, because and if you hear their story, waking up early in the morning at 5:30, how tough the dad was for them, but it was all good because they learned so much out of it, and I can see now when I see Cara sometimes coach and stuff, and I can see the discipline is still there. But I mean, for me, it's just absolutely remarkable coming out of one family, what they've achieved.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have two more questions. So tell me, how do you think doubles is evolving now? How is it changing from the times when you played to now, and where do you think it's heading?
I think it's, back then was a lot of skill, whereas today it's just physical. And I think if you can combine a bit of both, that's what I try to do, to bring some of the old school, some of the current, how they play with the physicality, some of the finesse in. That's why I brought the chip in. I tried to do a lot of mini tennis with my guys to bring sort of that field aspect of it. A lot of different things in, especially with Rob. Cabal has probably the best hands that I've seen, but sometimes just need to be smart in how he uses it. With Rob actually was like a little kid. It was like, why don't you see the drop shot? And we never used it because he didn't have soft hands. So we worked a lot on that over the years by all these little games we played. It's amazing how I could see how he evolved, and he gets so excited, even like right now, where he hits something and then he just sort of stares at me sometimes. Or did you say, but how come you never said anything about my drop shot? Or how come you never said anything about that? And I'm like, Rob, you got to hit another 100 of that or 200 of that for me to say something. But I like the way you're thinking. Well done. So yes, I think it's definitely power. And I don't see anything change. And I think the way the game is going, I think one just have to be smart in terms of what you want to do and what you want to achieve, because there's definitely a way out there. Chip lob, chip and come in. I feel like it's a power game, but on second serves, if you can just be smart and bring something different, because people are just so used to serving and staying back, and especially if you play singles guys and they rip the ball. But I am a firm believer, if you're a good volleyer and you understand the basics of doubles and master the basics, the geometry of the court, and you move as one, the court actually becomes a lot smaller and it becomes a lot tougher for that particular guy. That's why we do a lot of 2-on-1s where I'm in a corner, 2 at the net, vice versa, 2 at the back, 1 in the corner. So we make that court small. And a lot of the stuff, I don't even use the alleys. I make the court even smaller for them. So by the time they get to a match, suddenly there's an extra little bit of space for them. So we do a lot of those things. But I think you just have to be smart with as a coach with and go as the game go, but also don't forget some of the old school and see what's current.